deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic
Oh, yeah.
that's as old as civilization itself, debt.
Yes.
But we're not just talking about like credit card bills or,
Yeah. Yes.
student loan debt or anything like that.
No, no.
We're going deep,
Much deeper.
exploring debt in all its forms.
Yeah.
Moral, spiritual, even societal.
Absolutely.
Using some surprisingly insightful texts.
Interesting.
Texts that have shaped cultures and beliefs for centuries.
Wow.
You might be surprised what these ancient stories
Oh, really?
reveal about the concept of owing and, more importantly, paying your dues.
It's fascinating how these sources offer a much richer understanding of debt than we typically consider.
Yeah.
They delve into the weight of unfulfilled obligations, the
Mhm.
consequences of not honoring commitments,
Right.
and the possibility of redemption from various forms of debt.
Okay, so let's dive in.
Oh, let's do it.
Our guide for this journey,
Okay.
the King James Bible. Now, don't worry, you don't need a theology degree to follow along.
Okay.
We're focusing on how these stories illuminate the concept of debt and the importance of repayment,
Yes.
a concept that resonates across time and cultures.
Exactly. Think of it as a historical and philosophical exploration of the very human experience of owing and making amends.
Perfect. So let's start at the beginning with the book of Genesis.
Okay.
The story of Adam and Eve. Their disobedience isn't just about breaking a rule.
Right.
It's framed as a debt they owe to God.
I see.
And that debt comes with some heavy consequences, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Toiling the land, pain in childbirth, mortality.
Oh, wow.
They're all painted as the price of their transgression.
What's interesting here is how the story sets the stage for understanding the concept of sin as a kind of debt. It's a debt that can't be easily repaid, leading to separation from the divine.
Right.
And it raises the question, what are the ways we try to repay these kinds of debts? Sacrifice, penance, good deeds.
Yeah.
It's a question that has echoed throughout human history.
And it's not just Adam and Eve.
Right.
The story of Cain and Abel
Huh?
also highlights the burden of unresolved debt. Cain, driven by jealousy,
Yeah.
kills his own brother.
Oh, wow.
Now he's got this debt of justice that he can't simply erase.
He can't just get rid of it.
He's cursed, alienated, forever marked by his actions.
I see.
It's a stark illustration of the lasting impact of unpaid debts.
Absolutely. This raises a critical question. What happens when debts, whether moral or financial,
Yeah?
fester and remain unaddressed?
Okay.
These stories suggest unresolved debt can lead to isolation, suffering, and even exile.
Exile.
It's a powerful concept, one that transcends specific religions or cultures.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly and talk about covenants.
Okay.
These are agreements between individuals and God,
Right.
often involving promises and obligations.
Yes.
Think of it as an early version of a contract.
I see.
Abraham's covenant with God, for instance, sets the foundation for the nation of Israel.
Okay.
But it also comes with responsibilities.
Right. And these covenants highlight the critical link between honoring commitments
Yeah.
and maintaining stability.
Okay.
Whether it's a promise to a friend,
Right.
a business deal,
Yeah.
or even a societal contract,
Uh-huh.
upholding our end of the bargain is fundamental for building trust and a sense of order, both personally and collectively.
That's a great point.
Right.
A broken covenant, like a defaulted debt, can have ripple effects far beyond the individuals directly involved.
Exactly.
Now let's move on to Exodus,
Okay.
where we see the idea of freedom as repayment.
Interesting.
The Israelites' liberation from slavery in Egypt, it's portrayed as God settling a debt to Abraham.
It's a remarkable concept.
Yeah.
It suggests that freedom itself can be a form of repayment, a
Wow.
way of restoring balance and righting past wrongs. It prompts us to consider, to whom might we be indebted?
Right.
And how can our actions contribute to their liberation or well-being?
It really flips the script on how we usually think about debt. Now, speaking of obligations,
Yeah, okay.
let's not forget the 10 Commandments.
Oh, yeah.
They're like a moral compass,
Right.
and many directly address avoiding debt in various forms.
Absolutely. Thou shalt not steal is a clear directive against taking what belongs to another.
Yeah.
A direct link to avoiding financial debt.
Right.
Thou shalt not covet goes even deeper.
Yeah.
Warning against the desire for what we don't have. A
Okay.
desire that can lead to overspending,
Mm.
taking on unnecessary debt,
Yeah.
and potentially harming others in the process.
It's fascinating how even these ancient codes recognize the dangers of unchecked desire and the importance of respecting others' property.
Yes.
Concepts that are incredibly relevant
Mhm.
today
Mhm.
as we grapple with consumerism and financial instability.
Couldn't agree more. These principles provide a foundation for building a fair society where people are protected from exploitation
Yeah.
and encouraged to manage resources responsibly, a key part of avoiding unnecessary debt.
Right now we're venturing into some legal territory with Leviticus and Deuteronomy.
Well,
These books contain specific laws concerning debt.
right.
And what strikes me is the emphasis on protecting the poor and vulnerable.
That's a crucial point. There are explicit laws forbidding usury,
Yeah.
which is the practice of charging excessive interest on loans.
Wow.
This was intended to prevent lenders from preying on those in desperate situations,
Right.
recognizing the potential for debt to trap people in a cycle of poverty.
It's like they understood that true justice requires a system that safeguards the most vulnerable, rather than allowing the wealthy to exploit their position and further indebt those who are already struggling.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
The concept of jubilee, outlined in Leviticus,
Yeah.
is quite remarkable.
Jubilee?
Every 50 years, debts were forgiven. Land was returned to original owners.
Really?
And even slaves were freed.
That's amazing.
It's like a system-wide reset button to address economic imbalances and prevent perpetual indebtedness.
Wow. That's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
It forces us to ask, how can we adapt this ancient principle of periodic debt forgiveness to address the challenges of economic inequality in our modern world? Could something like a debt jubilee offer relief to struggling individuals and communities today?
That's a good question.
It's something to ponder, for sure.
It certainly challenges us to rethink our approach to debt and its impact on society. Now let's shift our focus to the historical books. Judges, Samuel, Kings, Chronicles.
Okay.
Here we encounter stories of kings who accumulate massive debt, both financial and moral, leading to the downfall of their kingdoms.
Wow.
It's a cautionary tale about the consequences of mismanaged debt, not just for individuals, but for entire nations. These stories really highlight how intertwined personal responsibility and the well-being of the community are.
Yeah.
A leader's actions, especially their management of resources and their commitment to ethical principles, can have a ripple effect that impacts everyone.
It's a pattern we see repeated throughout history, isn't it?
It is.
Leaders who prioritize personal gain over the welfare of their people,
Right.
who rack up debt through reckless spending or unnecessary wars,
Yeah.
often end up facing rebellion, economic collapse, or even exile.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder of the importance of responsible leadership and the potential consequences of failing to pay our dues, both literally and figuratively.
Absolutely. And it's not just about financial debt or political power.
Right.
These stories delve into the concept of moral debt.
Okay.
The debts we accumulate through our actions, choices,
Yeah.
and how we treat others.
Right.
Take David's story, for example.
Got it.
His affair with Bathsheba and his attempt to cover it up create a moral debt that haunts him
Yeah.
and has devastating consequences for everyone involved.
It's a harsh lesson that our actions have consequences, and even those in positions of authority aren't exempt from the laws of morality and justice.
That's true.
Speaking of consequences, the story of David's son Absalom is also framed in terms of debt. Absalom rebels against his father, seeking to avenge his sister Tamar,
Okay.
who was raped by their half-brother Amnon.
This story is a tragic example of family betrayal, unresolved grievances, and the cycle of violence that can erupt when debts of justice are ignored.
Right.
It's a stark reminder that moral debts can be just as weighty and consequential as financial ones,
Yeah.
fueling resentment, conflict, and even violence. Addressing these debts, seeking forgiveness, and making amends are essential for restoring harmony and building healthy relationships.
Okay, now let's shift gears and look at some specific examples from the Bible that really highlight the importance of paying our debts.
Okay.
We'll start with the story of Jacob and Esau from the book of Genesis.
Okay.
Remember, Jacob tricked his brother Esau out of his birthright,
Right.
essentially incurring a significant familial and moral debt.
Yes. And as Jacob's story unfolds,
Yeah.
we see the repercussions of his actions.
Okay.
He flees his home, faces hardship,
Uh-huh.
and even experiences deception himself. It's as if he's working through the consequences of his debt,
Yeah.
almost like life is pushing him towards some kind of reckoning.
It's like a cosmic balancing of the scales.
Right.
And the climax of this story comes when Jacob has to face Esau again.
Oh, wow.
He's terrified, expecting revenge.
Uh-huh.
So what does he do?
What's that?
He sends wave after wave of gifts.
Oh, wow.
Livestock, servants, precious goods
Okay.
to Esau.
Wow.
It's a grand gesture of repayment for the wrong he committed.
It's a powerful example of someone actively trying to address a past debt.
Uh-huh.
Jacob isn't just offering a token apology.
Right.
He's making a genuine effort to restore what he took from his brother. He's acknowledging the wrong he committed and demonstrating a willingness to make things right.
And this act of repayment goes beyond material possessions.
I see.
It's about seeking reconciliation, rebuilding a fractured relationship, and ultimately finding a path towards forgiveness.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even when we've made mistakes, acknowledging our debts and taking concrete steps to make amends can open the door to healing and renewal.
Absolutely. And while Esau doesn't immediately forgive Jacob,
Yeah.
the story suggests that this grand gesture of repayment creates the possibility for reconciliation.
Right.
It highlights the transformative power of taking responsibility for our actions and making sincere efforts to repair the harm we've caused.
Now let's fast forward to the New Testament and the parable of the unmerciful servant in the Gospel of Matthew.
Okay.
This story is a powerful lesson about forgiveness and the consequences of withholding it, especially when we ourselves have been forgiven a much larger debt.
It's a brilliant illustration of the idea of paying forward the mercy we've received.
Yeah.
The servant is forgiven an enormous debt by the king, but then he turns around and demands repayment from a fellow servant who owes him a much smaller amount.
Oh, wow.
It's a classic case of hypocrisy.
He completely misses the point of forgiveness.
Yeah.
He's experienced incredible grace and compassion, yet he can't extend that same grace to another.
Right.
As a result, he faces the consequences of his own unmerciful actions. It's a powerful reminder that receiving forgiveness comes with a responsibility to offer that same forgiveness to others.
The parable challenges us to look inward.
Yeah.
Are we holding on to debts harboring bitterness or resentment that are preventing us from experiencing the freedom and joy of forgiveness?
Right.
It's a call to align our actions with the mercy we've received, to break the cycle of debt and retribution,
Yeah.
and cultivate a culture of compassion and grace.
Okay, and one more New Testament story that speaks volumes about paying debts
Okay.
is the story of Zacchaeus, the wealthy tax collector who encounters Jesus in the Gospel of Luke.
Ah, Zacchaeus. He's an intriguing character.
Yeah.
Someone who had profited from others,
Right.
often through dishonest means. He represents someone deeply entangled in financial and possibly moral debt.
He's not exactly a sympathetic figure at first glance.
Yeah.
But when he meets Jesus, something changes within him.
Oh, well.
He's moved to repentance, to make things right.
Okay.
And what does he do?
I'm listening.
He publicly declares that he'll repay those his figure.
Yeah.
He's cheated 4 times the amount he took
Wow.
and give half his possessions to the poor.
It's a radical act of restitution. Zacchaeus isn't just offering empty words.
Right.
He's taking concrete steps to address the harm he's caused. He's demonstrating a genuine transformation, a commitment to turning away from his past. This story reminds us that it's never too late to confront our debts.
Yeah.
Seek forgiveness and make a fresh start. Even those who've accumulated significant debt, whether financial or moral,
Right.
can find redemption and chart a course towards a more just and meaningful life.
Yeah.
Zacchaeus shows us that true repentance goes beyond words. It's about taking tangible actions to make amends and right the wrongs of the past. It's a powerful testament to the transformative power of repentance and the potential for liberation from the weight of debt through generosity and restitution.
Yeah.
It's a message that resonates even today,
Right.
reminding us that we always have the capacity to change, to make things right,
Yeah.
and to step into a more authentic and fulfilling way of being.
So we've traveled through the Old and New Testaments,
Yeah.
exploring how the concept of debt is intricately woven into stories of individuals, families, and entire nations.
Right.
It's clear that the Bible emphasizes the importance of paying our debts, whether they're financial, moral,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
spiritual.
These stories offer profound insights into the human experience of debt,
Right.
reminding us that it's not just an economic concept, but a fundamental aspect of our moral and spiritual lives.
And what's truly remarkable is how these ancient stories still resonate with us today. We all grapple with debts in various forms. And the wisdom contained in these narratives can offer guidance as we face the challenges of debt in our own lives.
They serve as a reminder that addressing our debts, seeking forgiveness,
Yeah.
and making amends aren't just about balancing the scales or fulfilling obligations.
Okay.
They're about creating a more just and compassionate world. One relationship, one choice, one act of restitution at a time.
Right. And these stories encourage us to look beyond individual transactions
Yes.
and consider the systems and structures that perpetuate debt and inequality.
Right.
They prompt us to ask,
Yeah.
how can we create a society that promotes economic justice,
Yeah.
protects the vulnerable, and provides opportunities for individuals and communities to escape the cycle of debt that often traps them in poverty and despair?
These are questions that are more relevant than ever.
Yeah.
Perhaps the wisdom embedded in these ancient texts can inspire us to find creative and compassionate solutions to the challenges of debt in our modern world.
Now let's move beyond the Bible and explore how debt is portrayed in other ancient texts.
Okay.
We'll begin with the Code of Hammurabi,
Okay.
one of the earliest known legal codes,
Oh, wow.
dating back to ancient Mesopotamia.
Interesting.
What's fascinating about this code is that it dedicates an entire section to debt,
Okay.
outlining regulations for loans, interest rates, and even the consequences of default.
And what's striking about the Code of Hammurabi is its focus on fairness and balance in economic transactions. It recognized the potential for debt to create power imbalances
Yeah.
and sought to regulate lending practices to protect both creditors and debtors.
For instance, the code sets limits on interest rates
Oh, really?
to prevent lenders from exploiting borrowers.
Interesting.
And it outlines procedures for debt repayment
Mm-hmm.
that take into account the debtor's ability to pay.
I see.
It's like they understood that debt could arise from various circumstances,
Yeah.
and they tried to create a legal framework that addressed these situations with a sense of justice and practicality.
The Code of Hammurabi offers us a glimpse into how ancient societies grappled with the complexities of debt. Right. And worked to create legal systems that promoted economic stability and fairness. These early attempts to regulate debt and protect the vulnerable are a testament to the enduring human struggle to balance the needs of individuals and the well-being of society as a whole.
Okay, now let's journey across continents and centuries to ancient Greece.
Let's go.
Here, the concept of debt takes on a more philosophical
Okay.
and even spiritual dimension.
Exactly. In Greek philosophy, especially in the writings of Plato and Aristotle, debt is closely tied to the concept of justice and the idea of restoring balance and harmony.
For example, in his dialogue, The Republic,
Yeah.
Plato argues that justice involves giving each person what they are due.
Okay.
And this includes repaying debts, fulfilling obligations,
Huh.
and making amends for wrongdoing.
Right.
It's a concept that resonates with the emphasis on accountability and responsibility that we've seen in the biblical texts.
And Aristotle, in his Nicomachean Ethics, explores the concept of distributive justice,
Okay.
which focuses on allocating resources and rewards fairly based on merit and contribution.
Wow.
He recognizes that debt can disrupt this balance,
Yeah.
leading to resentment,
Right.
conflict, and social unrest.
So for the ancient Greeks, debt wasn't just about financial transactions.
Right.
It was about maintaining moral and social order.
Yes.
Their philosophical approach to debt influenced their legal systems, social customs, and even their understanding of the relationship between individuals and the state.
Absolutely. And this emphasis on the ethical dimensions of debt is something that we can learn from and apply to our own lives and the way we approach debt in our modern world.
Okay, now let's venture further east to ancient India,
Okay.
where debt is viewed through the lens of karma and the cycle of rebirth.
Yes. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the concept of karma suggests that our actions have consequences that extend beyond this lifetime, potentially influencing our experiences in future lives.
Oh, wow.
Debts, whether financial, moral, or spiritual, can create karmic burdens that we carry with us until we achieve a state of balance and liberation.
Wow.
It's a profound concept that adds a new layer of meaning to the idea of responsibility and the interconnectedness of our lives.
Imagine, for instance, that you borrow money and never repay it.
Okay.
That action creates a karmic imbalance.
Right.
According to these traditions,
Uh-huh.
you might be born into poverty in a future life as a consequence of that unresolved debt.
Oh.
It's a powerful illustration of how our actions can have far-reaching effects,
Yeah.
even extending beyond our current lifetime.
This perspective on debt encourages us to act with awareness and compassion, recognizing that our choices have ripple effects that reach far beyond our immediate circumstances.
Right.
It invites us to consider the long-term consequences of our actions, not just for ourselves, but for the larger web of life.
So we've explored ancient Mesopotamia,
Yeah.
Greece, and India.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing how the concept of debt has been a central concern for societies across cultures and time periods.
Right.
It's clear that debt is a universal experience that raises profound questions about justice, fairness, responsibility, and our interconnectedness.
These diverse perspectives on debt offer us new ways of understanding and navigating the challenges we face today.
Right.
They remind us that debt isn't just a financial matter. It reflects our values, our relationships, and our understanding of our place in the world.
And by exploring these ancient perspectives,
Yes.
we can gain inspiration and guidance as we strive to create a more just and compassionate world. One where debt isn't a tool of oppression, but a catalyst for growth, healing, and reconciliation. Okay, so we've traveled through time, exploring debt in ancient Mesopotamia,
Right.
Greece, and India.
Yeah.
Now let's fast forward to a period a little closer to home,
All right.
the Middle Ages in Europe.
This is a fascinating era to consider.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, it was a time of immense social and economic upheaval,
Okay.
with the rise of feudalism, the expansion of trade, and the emergence of new financial institutions.
And debt played a key role in shaping these developments, right?
Absolutely.
Feudalism, with its intricate web of obligations and loyalties,
Yes.
was essentially a system built on debt. Lords granted land to vassals in exchange for military service and other types of support.
Precisely. It was a system of mutual indebtedness,
Okay.
with both lords and vassals bound by obligations to one another.
Right.
And this concept of debt permeated the economic realm as well,
Okay.
with the growth of trade leading to the development of new credit instruments and lending practices.
Right. Think about the rise of merchant guilds and banking families like the Medici.
Oh, yeah?
They facilitated trade and commerce by extending credit and loans, essentially fueling economic growth through debt.
And the Catholic Church, a powerful force in medieval Europe. Yeah.
Also grappled with the issue of debt.
Right, like how?
Well, usury, the charging of interest on loans, was considered a sin.
So how did they reconcile that?
Yeah, that's a good
With
question.
the increasing need for credit in a rapidly expanding economy.
Well, it led to some ingenious workarounds.
Oh, really? Like what?
For example, they developed concepts like just price and compensation for risk
Okay.
to justify certain forms of lending and profit-making.
It's remarkable how these moral and economic tensions influence the development of financial systems and practices during this time.
Absolutely. And these medieval debates about debt paved the way for the modern capitalist system, with its emphasis on credit, investment, and the pursuit of profit.
So we've seen how debt has been a constant thread throughout human history, shaping social structures, economic systems, and even our moral and spiritual beliefs.
It's evident that the ways we understand and manage debt have profound implications for the well-being of individuals, communities, and entire nations.
Precisely. And the stories and ideas we've uncovered from these ancient texts offer valuable insights into the complexities of debt.
Right.
They remind us that it's not just an economic issue, but a reflection of our values, our relationships, and our understanding of justice and fairness.
As we grapple with the challenges of debt in our own lives, let's remember the wisdom of these ancient voices.
Yes.
Let's approach debt with a sense of responsibility, compassion, and a commitment to building a more just and equitable world for everyone.
It's a journey worth undertaking.
Absolutely.
It starts with acknowledging our own debts, seeking forgiveness when needed,
right,
and extending grace and compassion to others who are struggling with their burdens.
And maybe we can draw inspiration from the ancient concept of Jubilee. Envisioning ways to create systems and practices that encourage economic renewal, debt forgiveness, and opportunities for everyone to flourish.
It's a vision worth pursuing.
Right.
A world where debt isn't a tool of oppression or a source of shame, but a catalyst for growth, healing, and a deeper sense of connection.
That's a thought-provoking note to leave our listeners with.
I hope so.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive
It's been a pleasure.
into the captivating world of debt.
Absolutely.
We hope you've gained new insights and perspectives that will help you navigate this complex issue in your own life and the world around you.
Until next time.
Until next time, keep exploring.